Hey there again, folks. Welcome back to Remember 11, the Age of Infinity. And I had to step out of the room and between episodes and get invaded by a special guest. So you're not gonna be happy until now. You're on camera. You happy about that? She's probably not. Lay down and while I record, okay? Is she in the shot? Yeah. Okay, cat. Yeah. There's nothing tougher than waiting around and doing nothing. That's why I took the map out from the basement. A lot of times she's gotten kind of in her old age to where she don't mind me picking her up some. I guess, but I'm normally not in this chair. I have a kind of a lower sitting chair that's easier on the butt. So I sit down when I sit out in when I watch videos and stuff. And she's normally used to hopping up there on the arm a bit. And, I guess this chair is very unfamiliar to her. Now where's the third area? I tried to investigate that while I waited. The reasoning was so simple, even I found it humorous. Space-time swap wasn't only happening at 2 points, a 3-point space transfer. I knew of their whereabouts. Yeah, whatever he said. Here. And here. Okay, now we have a visual demonstration of it. Above was Aosagi Island, below was Mount Akakura. Mount Akakura's name had been properly marked on the map. Now then, where was the remaining point? I figured that the 3 points were arranged in an equilibrium position. Aosagi Island and Mount Akakura, I drew a line to connect the 2 points with my fingertip. My finger stopped around the middle of the line. There's a place called Moegi Village in the district of Hiwa, Hokkaido. I'm glad he was able to pinpoint it exactly in the middle, but then again, he does have more of a precise mathematical mind than I do. In fact, the positions on the Earth's surface, such that each of them, when coupled with the 2 known transfer points, forms a figure which has all the distances between its vertices in equilibrium seem to be 6. As for where do these positions lie exactly, it is as follows. First, let's designate the surface distance between point Aosagi Island and point Mount Akakura as R. Next, draw 2 circles of a radius R centered on a point Aosagi Island and point Mount Akakura respectively. Let's designate the intersection points of these 2 circles as P1 and P2. Draw a line passing through P1 and P2. So draw another line passing through point Mount Akakura. Aosagi Island and Mount Akakura. Lines here should be understood in the sense of lying atop a curved surface and thus forming 2 more circles around the Earth when fully drawn. With this, we now have 2 small circles and 2 big ones. Now, there should be a total of 8 points of intersections between all circles. Since 2 of them are point Mount Aosagi Island and point Mount Akakura, we exclude these, which leaves us with 6. If any of these 6 represents the actual third area, that means that the 3 transfer points are located in equilibrium positions. Okay. Thanks for explaining that, Sagaru. There's a pickaxe-like cross marked on it, just around the middle. Right under that mark. At that moment, something jumped up inside my head. The sound of the waves vanished. Time had stopped. I forgot to breathe. Streaks of light ran across the sky in groups. A crack ran through the frozen atmosphere. For a moment, the surrounding scenery shattered, and fragments of the moon became comets and rained down on the Earth. If the third area really was Photo Ruby Mine, if it really was, then Alpha Alpha's true identity was. Okay. The fingers wouldn't stop trembling. A fear of unknown nature began to rise up inside me. Feeling like I'd been touched by something evil, I panicked and folded up the mouth. I tried to find a way to deny the thoughts I just had. However, the more I struggled through, the deeper I became fixed on it. If the third area really was Hatarubi, then all my doubts until now would crumble and melt away. However, that was a solution that I should never pursue. I waved my head furiously to dispel that dark thought. What dark thought? But of course, nothing happened even when I did. I had realized the true identity of Alpha. That fact would never disappear. Who? I guess the wind blew past me. Okay. It really skipped a lot there. The map gripped in my right hand began to sway. Oops, let's actually hit enter. Now, does he know? It did say something about that was where Itsumi was treated. So maybe he knows about that. Maybe that's where her kids are or something. Even though such a mysterious spectacle had occurred before my eyes, I was struck in a trance-like state. I stood dumbfounded without understanding what had happened. Right now, the inside of my head was being misled by the shadow of Alpha, but now wasn't time to be tricked by things like that. At any rate, I had to think about the shelter cabin. Kokoro, Yomogi, Lin, Uni. It'd be fine if I only concentrated on those 4 people. My awkward steps gradually began to adjust their pace. Eventually that turned into quick walking. Okay. The round green door. I knelt down beside it and began to think. Now then, should I open the door? Present time, 5:17 a.m. I don't know. We opened it last time, and bad things happened. But then again, we are armed with more knowledge this time, so even if it is a bad ending, we'll go ahead and go with it. And I just made a save, so it won't be any issue to get back here. I mean, I do plan on getting all the endings anyway, so it's not like that's a big deal. I opened it. The inside gleamed with a white light. The inside was as bright as day. I squinted from the overwhelming light. While shielding my eyes with one hand, I took a look inside the room. There wasn't even a shadow. No one was around. Okay, this is still a new scene, it looks like. There was a ladder leading down from the round entrance. I went down it. Apoptosis. This was the scene where we died in. Okay, this is mostly the same. Oops. Understood instantly. Right, this is the past. The Inamoto here is the Inamoto of the past. But why would he need to come here? Once he noticed I was there, shock registered on Inamoto's face. We glared at each other, neither moving a muscle. One who finally broke the silence was him.
お前は誰だ? 聞こえなかったのか? お前は誰だと聞いてるんだ. 答えろ.
Or maybe this past Inamoto just doesn't know me yet.
答えろ.
Inamoto repeated. Reluctantly, I decided to answer. Okay, what was that? Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, I know it. We don't need to go through that again, please no.
説明するまでもないだろう. 貴様はそれを知ってるはずだ. ああ. だが、しかし、細かいことまで説明する気はない. 面倒だし、貴様が知る意味もない.
Well, he's not feeling any nicer this time around, that's for sure. Now, the other guy shows up. Oh wow, I can't skip this? Really? What? Oh, I don't want to quit. Wow. They punish you for screwing up. Okay, well. It was a failure. We shouldn't go through that door. Let's not go through that door. I believe it's the lesson that we learned. Really, I can't skip this. Skippable cutscenes. Why? Why you know work? Okay, well, we shall, really, I can't even, Okay, well, I shall be back. Alright, well, you know what not to do now, I think. So, this time we're not going to open it. I'm also going to have to remember that the time that's looking is not the time of the episode, so I'm going to try to not make this like 30, 40 minutes, of course. We don't open that thing. We go away. I didn't open it. I had a bad feeling. Ooh, brand new scene. Obviously, this building isn't the shelter cabin. This isn't the shelter cabin in the area. But if that's the case, then where am I? Third area. My consciousness, which had always stayed behind at Alsagi Island, had transferred from my body to Alpha's body, then to Kokoro's body, back to my body again, repeating over and over again like that. In other words, the sequential order of the three areas being teleported to Alsagi Island is Sophia area, third area, the shelter cabin. Sophia, third area, shelter cabin. Basically, after Sophia, it's the third area's turn. After third area, the shelter cabin comes next, and so on. And until just a little while ago, the Sophia area was on the Alsagi Island. Due to the space-time transfer at 448, the place that appeared here is the third area. Quite a simple deduction. Anyway, how long will the third area remain here? 33 minutes. Which means the next transfer is going to occur 33 minutes after 448. 552. And then the Mount Akira of 1 year ago will arrive. Reached into my pocket and took out my wristwatch. It's 5:18. 3 minutes until the next transfer. Wow, he spent a lot of time there. I had no time to open a door. Stood up in a hurry and rushed over to the ladder. Practically flowed down it and descended to the ground. 110 meters from the circumference. If I ran as fast as my legs could possibly carry me, I'd make it. I kicked off the ground and took off running. The slickness of the rocks underfoot made me stumble. They were so wet I was scared my feet would slip at any moment. I corrected my posture and propelled myself forward. I jumped into the deep snowbank. At last, I crossed the boundary line of the circle. But I couldn't relax yet. I decided to get as far away from the circle as possible. I quickly stood up and began to make my way through the snow. Finally arrived at the coast. I stopped at the beach and turned around. Present time, 5:21 a.m. For an instant, the bare ground disappeared. What materialized next was a slightly elevated hill clad in a mantle of pure white snow, like a slide on a projector being clicked into place. The landscape had undergone a sudden transformation, without a sound, not even a flicker of light. Before I noticed, the elevated hill appeared as if nothing had happened at all. I could hear was the wind howling. A gentle breeze was flowing from inside the circle and out of it. I could see a cloud of fine water vapor, a great billowing mist that welled up in a mushroom cloud, like a mushroom cloud. But it was soon swallowed into the darkness and erased. This was the second time I had come face to face with the truth of the space-time transfer. It was a truly unbelievable spectacle, but I had no time to spare. I kicked the sand up and started running to the other side of the hill, to the shelter cabin. 4 people were inside. I had to take them out of the circle. With only that thought in mind, I determinedly ran. When I reached the top of the hill, I was greeted by a familiar scene. The bowl-shaped hollow. In the middle of it stood the shelter cabin. I was about to run down the slope, but just before I took off, I suddenly stopped. A shadow had entered my vision. The eastern sky had already begun to brighten. Against that illuminated background, I realized pretty quickly whose shadow it was. Kokoro was running up the snow-covered slope, right across from where I was standing. She was there, the shelter cabin between me and her. Kokoro stopped halfway up the slope and turned around. Lynn and Uni had appeared just behind her. They were climbing up the snowy slope, chasing after Kokoro. If they kept going, they would escape the circle. Good timing, that saves me getting them out of there myself. But Yomogi, I couldn't see him. Did he stay in the cabin by himself? I started moving before I could stop to think about it. Kicking up the deep snow, I ran down the gentle slope. Oh, this is before. Get back in the cabin. Go back. Okay. That's where she was going to try to get Yomogi, or wasn't she? And they, yeah. Didn't she return back to the shelter cabin, though? Seems like it. That's a weird sight. I was just thinking, they should show him in the cabin just to be like, look at it's different. But it is actually a weird sight. Flung the door open and threw myself inside. There was no one there. A cast-off shell. The room, empty of its occupants, was deeply ominous, still as dead. I tried looking down into the underground storeroom. The Yomogi wasn't there. I turned on my heel and rushed back outside. There were only two trails there to snow. One is mine. The other belongs to Kokoro, Lin, and Uni when they were left to climb the slope. The second trail continued uninterrupted to the summit. Couldn't see them. And with a shout of frustration, I resumed running. I had asked them about Yomogi. I reached the summit. Signs of their passage through the snow continued to the coast, where they vanished. I can't remember. I feel like a horrible person. I can't remember if Yomogi lived. I know he didn't live a few times, but I can't remember if he was actually alive the last time. When they met on the beach. I know for sure that Mayuzumi and Uni were there, but I can't remember for sure about Yomogi. Crap. Sorry, Yomogi, I feel really bad. I can't remember. The great curve of the sandy beach. I spotted them a little to the north of where I was. I ran and ran and ran. Once I got to the beach, I ran along the water's snowless edge. The wounds on my arm and back hadn't completely healed yet. I was all worn out. My energy was quickly running out, but I couldn't stop. This is the main theme, so I think we got a good ending this time. Spurring my battered body forward, I ran on. Uni was crouched on the beach, splashing playfully in the waves. Kokoro was next to him. Only Lin stood up, looking down at them. At that moment, Uni's head suddenly shot up. He'd noticed me. He turned to the other two and said something I couldn't catch. Kokoro looked up at me. She got to her feet and suddenly came running toward me. Yomogi? Why Yomogi? Tried to look back over my shoulder while still running, but there was no Yomogi. No way Yomogi could be there. The distance between Kokoro and I gradually began to narrow. Suddenly Kokoro stopped short. Oh, that's right. Okay. I do remember that. I didn't stop running. The distance separating us grew shorter and shorter. She murmured. She knit her brow, her pupils swimming. She was clearly shocked. She was struggling to come to terms with the situation before her, which is reasonable. I see. I finally understood why she shouted Yomogi-san when she caught sight of me. She doesn't know anything about the space-time transfer, nor about the three areas. She can't comprehend why there is a beach here, nor why I suddenly appeared. She stood before me. I gazed at her, my shoulders heaving. Kokoro and I stood on the beach, gazing at each other's faces as the sunrise illuminated us. Her voice trembled as she barely managed to speak. I was at a loss for how to answer. How could I explain everything to her? I did nothing but stand motionless, my eyes fixed on her, not saying a word. I know why she's here, but now that I was face to face with her like this, I felt a little strange. The one I always wanted to meet, but never could. Even though we hadn't spoken even once, she felt closer to me than anyone else. Here she was at last, right before my eyes. She had her own will, and she was talking to me. That body, which I could freely control until days ago, is not mine anymore. It wasn't, but it was so much like my own body, and at the same time, like another self. A strange feeling couldn't possibly describe. Pretty much described it there. It is strange. Now's not the time to get wrapped up in such warm emotions. The three of them had escaped from the circle. That's all well and good, but what about Yomogi? Where did Yomogi go? The next instant,
やはりそういうことなのか。
as though I'd received divine guidance, I understood everything at once. Kokoro had shouted Yomogi-san when she saw me from far away. Yomogi probably left the circle before the transfer. Crap, that's not good. Uh-oh. Which means that right now Yomogi is... Kokoro tried to say
話
something.
は後だ。
Interrupted her with a stern
急
declaration.
がないと大変なことになる。お前たちはここで待ってるんだ。
I had no time to waste. After leaving my warning with Kokoro, I started to run. Yeah, this is how I do remember that now. Kokoro chased after me.
ついてくるな。
I didn't have time to explain. I kept running, trying to shake her off as she kept calling out to me. Present time, 5:53 a.m. Only 1 minute for the next transfer. I stepped onto the snow. The circle was right ahead. Can't return to Mount Akira if I don't enter the transfer area. But...
間に合わなかったか。
Get sphere stood open before me. I dragged myself through it on leaden feet. Kokoro followed me. She was dumbfounded as though her soul had left her
リン
body.
とユニは。
Uh-oh. I left Kokoro and there and went back through the gate. I took a look around for them. I found them pretty... Okay, good. Found them pretty quickly. Lynn stood there in open-mouthed shock, staring up at the high wall. Right next to her was Uni, who was somehow quite
ユ
calm.
ニ、リンを頼む。
Uni simply nodded. He took Lynn's arm and dragged her back out toward the coast. She looked back at me again and again, her head inclined to the side in puzzlement. After I watched them leave, I returned to Kokoro.
さあ、お前も外に出るんだ。
Here's one thing. My Izumi wasn't like, whoa, it's Satoru! Crap! It's been a long time! So, here was one thing I was wondering. Is, maybe it was actually Inamoto who was involved with the... Because she was like... Well, no, she did respond to the full name, but she always called him Yukito-kun, didn't she? And, I'm not sure. Put a hand on Kokoro's shoulder and urged her toward the gate. What is the meaning of this? We'll have to find out in the next episode. I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. I think this is about a full episode with the split in between. We'll have to keep track of this sort of thing because there'll be a lot of editing coming up, getting all the endings. But yeah, will Yomogi live or will he die? Who knows? We're gonna have to find out next time or time after that. I'm not sure. See you in the next one, folks.